Hey folks, grab a cold drink and settle in because I'm about to spill the tea on the wildest HOA drama that ever turned our sleepy Whispering Pines lakeside community upside down. You know the type of place. Picture-perfect lawns like green carpet, American flags fluttering in the breeze, kids riding bikes without a care, and everyone waving like we're in some wholesome sitcom. On the surface, it looked like suburban heaven. Underneath, a snake pit run by Gloria Vance and her clipboard-wielding cult. Ethan Brooks had just moved back into his dad's old cabin after the funeral. Nice guy, mid-40s, always in jeans and a faded flannel, sipping coffee on his porch while the lake sparkled like glass behind him. He kept to himself, paid his dues on time, even volunteered to help fix the community dock last summer. Seemed harmless. Until Gloria decided he was public enemy number one. It started small, the way these things always do. One Tuesday morning I was out walking my dog when I saw Gloria strutting down Ethan's driveway like she owned the planet. Lavender blazer sharp as a knife, pearls gleaming, measuring tape swinging from her hip like a sheriff's gun. She slapped a bright pink violation notice on his truck windshield. Grass exceeds 4 inches, it read in her perfect cursive. Never mind that Ethan had been away burying his father. Never mind the drought. Rules were rules, and Gloria was the queen of them. Ethan just smiled that quiet smile of his, thanked her politely, and went inside. I watched from across the street thinking, poor guy, he'll mow tomorrow and it'll blow over. Boy, was I wrong. By Friday, she was back with Richard, her loyal cameraman sidekick, filming Ethan's garden hose coiled on the spigot like it was a deadly serpent. Visible from the street, she shrieked into her phone to the HOA board. This is a safety hazard. Ethan stood there in his doorway, coffee mug in hand, and said in the calmest voice you ever heard, Gloria, the hose has been there since my dad built the place 20 years ago. Maybe we could talk about this like neighbors. Gloria's laugh was pure ice. Neighbors follow the covenants, Ethan, or they pay the price. She fanned out 3 more pink slips like a poker player holding aces. Parking 3.2 feet from the curb. Grass. Hose. Each one $250. She even measured the distance with her tape while Richard zoomed in like he was filming a crime scene. The whole street started watching. Mrs. Patel's curtains twitched. The teenagers on bikes slowed down. You could feel the tension crackling like static before a storm. Ethan didn't argue. He just nodded, took the papers, and closed his door softly. But I saw the way his shoulders tightened. The man was patient, not weak. Week 2, it got personal. Gloria started a whisper campaign. Suddenly, everyone knew Ethan was hostile. He refused to comply, she told the ladies at book club. Probably hiding something in that shed. By Sunday, the neighborhood Facebook group was blowing up with posts about certain residents disrespecting community standards. Ethan's wife, Sarah, sweet woman who baked cookies for everyone, told me later her phone wouldn't stop buzzing with pity texts. Their 8-year-old daughter started asking why the other kids weren't allowed to play in their yard anymore. That's when the real anger kicked in for me. Here was a guy grieving his dad, trying to rebuild a life, and Gloria was treating him like a criminal over grass and a damn garden hose. It was classic HOA Karen energy, that mix of boredom, power hunger, and fear that someone might actually live free. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. I was out raking leaves when Gloria's voice cut across the lake like a starter pistol. Sheriff, if you don't come right now, someone's going to get hurt. She stood at Ethan's curb, phone on speaker, blazer flapping in the breeze, clipboard clutched like a shield. Richard filmed from the side, panning dramatically. Ethan sat on his porch, mug in hand, looking for all the world like he was just enjoying the morning. I feel unsafe, Gloria wailed into the phone. He's hostile. He's intimidating me by refusing to speak. Ethan hadn't said a word. Silence as aggression, new rule, apparently. I edged closer, pretending to check my mailbox. The siren started faint in the distance. Gloria straightened like a soldier hearing the cavalry. Help is coming, she hissed at Ethan. Ethan took one slow sip of coffee, eyes steady. Gloria, he finally said, voice low and even, you should step off my property. This is common area, she snapped. He pointed to the brass survey marker glinting in the sun. Actually, it isn't. The cruiser rolled up, lights flashing across the pines. Officer Ramirez stepped out, looking already tired of HOA nonsense. Gloria launched into her Oscar-worthy performance, hands waving, voice cracking. Ethan waited his turn, calm as ever. But I swear I saw something flicker behind his eyes. Not fear. Calculation. Like a man who'd been waiting for the right moment. The officer listened, nodded, then turned to Ethan. "Sir, mind telling me your side?" Ethan stood, still holding his mug, and reached into his jacket pocket. What he pulled out wasn't a lawyer's card. It was a worn leather badge case. He flipped it open. Officer Ramirez's eyebrows shot up. Gloria's mouth actually hung open mid-sentence. Because the badge wasn't local PD or even county. It read State Land Use Oversight Director in gold lettering. Ethan Caldwell, wait, Ethan Brooks, had been quietly serving as the state's top land commissioner for 15 years. The man who approved easements, audited zoning, and could shut down entire developments with one phone call. And Gloria had just spent weeks treating him like some rule-breaking peasant. "Commissioner Brooks," Ramirez said, suddenly respectful. "Didn't realize we had state oversight living here." Ethan smiled that same quiet smile. "Just trying to enjoy retirement, officer. Seems the HOA has other plans." Gloria recovered fast. "This doesn't change anything. The covenants are clear." Ethan's voice stayed even, but now it carried steel. "Covenants can't override state law, Gloria. Especially when the HOA is using fake enforcement to hide bigger problems." He glanced at Richard's phone, still recording. "And I'd love to see the board's financials. Word around the county seat is there's 20 grand missing from last year's budget." Gloria's face went the color of spoiled milk. Ramirez wrote something down. The street had gone dead quiet. Even the lake seemed to hold its breath. That was the first crack in Gloria's empire, but it was only the beginning. The next week was pure psychological warfare. Gloria doubled down. New signs appeared on the community board, report suspicious activity. Her gossip machine went into overdrive. Sarah told me their daughter came home crying because a classmate said her dad was dangerous. Ethan stayed silent on the outside, but I caught him one night pacing his porch under the stars, phone to his ear, voice low. He wasn't panicking. He was building a case. I started noticing things I'd missed before. Gloria's own backyard had a brand new in-ground pool installed last spring. No permits posted, no HOA approval notices. Funny how the rules only applied to everyone else. And Kevin, her right-hand board member who always nodded along, started looking nervous every time Gloria spoke, like a man who knew the ship was leaking. Ethan began collecting evidence quietly. He measured everything with a licensed surveyor app on his phone. He requested public records. He even befriended old Mrs. Hargrove, the former treasurer who'd quit the board after Gloria took over. She slipped him a flash drive one afternoon while pretending to walk her Yorkie. "They've been cooking the books for years," she whispered. "Gloria's pool? Paid for with community beautification funds." The tension in the neighborhood was thick enough to chew. People started choosing sides without saying a word. Some crossed the street to avoid Ethan. Others started waving a little longer, like they were testing the waters. Sarah stopped baking for book club. Their daughter stopped riding her bike past Gloria's house. Then came the twist that flipped the entire script. It was a Thursday evening. I was grilling burgers when I saw Kevin's truck pull up to Ethan's cabin after dark. Kevin got out looking like he'd seen a ghost. He handed Ethan a thick envelope. "I can't do this anymore," he said, voice shaking. "She made me sign off on fake inspector contracts. Mountain Valley Code Services? It's her cousin's LLC. They threatened my business if I talked." Ethan didn't gloat. He just nodded. "You're doing the right thing, Kevin. State protection is real." Kevin looked back toward Gloria's house like it might explode. "She's planning to call in fake inspectors tomorrow to condemn your shed. They'll wear fake badges. She thinks you'll fold." Ethan's laugh was soft, dark, almost amused. "Let her try." That night the neighborhood felt different. The gossip shifted. People started whispering about Gloria's pool, about the missing money, about how she'd threatened Kevin's kids. The Karen who thought she ruled the roost was suddenly the one being watched. By morning, Gloria had her fake inspectors rolling up in a rented white pickup with magnetic signs that looked official from 10 feet away. Two guys in hard hats and neon vests strutted toward Ethan's shed like they owned the place. "Vacate order," the lead guy barked. "Encroachment violation." Ethan stepped outside, coffee in one hand, phone in the other, already recording. "Gentlemen, mind showing me your county-issued credentials and contractor licenses?" The inspectors hesitated. Ethan dialed a number on speaker. "Elaine? Got two gentlemen here claiming county authority. Care to explain why the state has no record of Mountain Valley Code services?" The woman on the line, county zoning director, sounded exhausted. "We don't subcontract inspections. Those badges are fake. Put me on speaker." Gloria was watching from her driveway, arms folded, smug as ever, until Elaine's voice rang out loud enough for the whole street to hear. "This is impersonating a public official. That's a felony." Gloria's face drained of color. The fake inspectors suddenly found the gravel very interesting. Officer Ramirez arrived 5 minutes later. Ethan had texted him the moment the truck pulled up. No sirens this time, just quiet authority. He took statements, photographed the fake badges, and escorted the two men off the property with a warning that sounded a lot like, "Don't come back unless you want cuffs." Gloria tried one last power move. "This is harassment," she yelled across the street. "He's turning the neighborhood against me." Ethan just raised his coffee mug in a mock toast. "No, Gloria. You did that all by yourself." The black humor of it wasn't lost on anyone. The woman who'd spent months measuring everyone else's grass had her own illegal pool, her own embezzled funds, and now her own felony-level stunt blowing up in her face. Neighbors started laughing behind their hands. Mrs. Patel actually clapped from her window. But Ethan wasn't done. He spent the next week turning the screws with surgical precision. He filed the preemptive complaint with the state. He shared Kevin's evidence, recordings of Gloria ordering the fake inspectors, texts about burying Ethan in fines, even bank statements showing transfers to her cousin's LLC. Sarah finally breathed easier. Their daughter went back to riding her bike past everyone's houses. The real turning point came at the emergency HOA meeting Gloria called to remove the disruptive element. The clubhouse was packed. Folding chairs squeaked. Gloria sat at the head table in her signature lavender, pearls shining like trophies, smiling that tight little smile that said she still thought she was winning. Ethan walked in last, calm as ever, leather folio under his arm. The room went quiet. Gloria's voice dripped honey. "Mr. Brooks, how nice of you to join us before we vote you out." Ethan didn't sit. He just set his phone on the table and hit play. Kevin's voice filled the room, clear as day, confessing everything. The fake company, the threats, the pool money. Gloria's face went from smug to sheet white in 3 seconds flat. Then Ethan flipped open his folio. "For the record," he said, voice carrying like a judge, "here's the original 1974 survey map proving my shed is 18 inches inside my line. Here's the notarized affidavit from the zoning office saying there's zero violation. And here," he tapped the thickest stack, "is the state investigation notice signed by the director himself. Your bylaws are now under review. Selective enforcement, misuse of funds, retaliation against a protected whistleblower. All of it." Someone in the back actually gasped. Gloria tried to speak, but nothing came out. Her board members stared at their hands. Kevin stood up slowly. "I'm done lying for you, Gloria. The state attorney's office is coming this afternoon. They want interviews. No retaliation allowed." The murmurs turned into open conversation. People who'd been scared of Gloria for years suddenly found their voices. "What about her pool?" someone called. "And the missing 20 grand. Gloria's pearls suddenly looked cheap. She stood, clutching her clipboard like a life raft. "This meeting is adjourned." But nobody moved. The power had already shifted. That afternoon, the state cars rolled in, black SUVs with official plates. Investigators in suits started pulling board members into the clubhouse one by one. Gloria and her cousin were last. I watched from my porch as they came out looking 10 years older. Gloria's blazer was wrinkled now. Her pearls seemed dull. The neighborhood changed overnight. People started talking to Ethan again, really talking. Mrs. Patel brought over a casserole. The teenagers waved. Sarah baked cookies for the whole street. Even the lake seemed brighter. But the best part, the part that still makes me grin every time I drive past Gloria's house, was the final board meeting 2 weeks later. The state had appointed a temporary administrator. New elections were scheduled. Gloria showed up anyway, trying one last Hail Mary. She stood at the podium in a new lavender outfit, voice trembling just a little. I only ever wanted what was best for the community. Ethan didn't even have to speak. Kevin did it for him. He stood up, looked Gloria dead in the eye, and said, "Best for the community doesn't include embezzling funds for your swimming pool or hiring fake cops to scare your neighbors." The room erupted in applause. Actual applause. Gloria's mouth opened and closed like a fish. She gathered her things with shaking hands and walked out. For the first time in years, nobody followed her. The state investigation wrapped up clean. Gloria's cousin's LLC got fined. The missing money was traced. Gloria herself received a formal cease and desist and had to sell her pool equipment to pay restitution. She moved out 2 months later. Last I heard, she's running an HOA in Florida now. Poor Florida. Ethan, he's still here. Still sipping coffee on his porch. Still waving to everyone. But now the neighborhood feels lighter. The rules are still there, but enforced fairly. Grass gets a little long in summer, and nobody clutches pearls. Kids ride bikes past every house. And every time I see that brass survey marker gleaming in Ethan's driveway, I remember the day Gloria learned the hardest lesson in suburbia. Never measure a man's hose unless you're absolutely sure he doesn't have the power to measure your entire life right back. The black humor of it all still hits me. Gloria spent months terrorizing a guy over 4 inches of grass, while her own backyard was literally built on stolen community cash. She called the sheriff thinking Ethan was the threat. Turns out the real danger was the quiet man with the state badge who'd been watching her little kingdom crumble from day one. Folks still talk about it at Miller's Cafe downtown. Remember when Gloria called the cops on the state commissioner? They laugh. She thought she was the queen. Turns out she was just the court jester. Sarah told me Ethan never wanted revenge for revenge's sake. He just wanted to live in peace, raise his daughter without fear, and honor the cabin his dad built. But when Gloria pushed, he pushed back with facts, patience, and the full weight of the law. That's the real lesson, I think. In these quiet American neighborhoods where HOAs pretend to be little governments, real power isn't loud or flashy. It's the guy who waits, collects evidence, and strikes when the Karen least expects it. The day Gloria's moving truck finally rolled away, Ethan stood on his porch one last time, coffee mug in hand, watching it disappear down the road. Sarah came out and slipped her arm around him. Their daughter rode her bike in circles in the driveway, laughing for the first time in months. I raised my own coffee from across the street in a silent toast. Ethan saw it and gave that quiet nod. No gloating. Just relief. Whispering Pines is peaceful again. Lawns are green. Flags wave. But now we all know the truth. Behind every perfect HOA facade, there's a Gloria waiting to pounce, until someone like Ethan reminds her that real authority doesn't need a clipboard. It just needs the truth. And the truth? It always measures up in the end. So next time you see a Karen in a lavender blazer marching down your street with a measuring tape and a grudge, remember Ethan Brooks. Remember the coffee-sipping man who let her dig her own hole, then politely handed her the shovel. Because in this game of suburban power, the quiet ones with real badges don't just win. They end the game. And that, neighbors, is the most satisfying feeling in the world.